Trevor, thank you so much for joining us here in studio. It's always great to have in-studio guests, so thank you. We really appreciate it. I guess we'll start simple, and basically for our audience that doesn't know, can you describe who and what WASAC is and does?
So WASAC is the Winnipeg Aboriginal Sport Achievement Centre. We're better well known as WASAC. We started out as a sport organization in 1999. We started out doing programming for 30 youth, and we had 2 youth leaders. We've since grown. This past year we had 120 youth leaders and provided programming to close to 5,000 youth across the province of Manitoba, with the bulk of them being Indigenous.
Wow. So you mentioned programming. What's the programming look like? What kind of programming? Can you walk us through that?
We involve all sorts of different kind of programs: sport, culture, recreation, job preparedness, education. As I said, we started as a sport organization, and we've kind of branched off into doing more stuff. But I think what the legacy of WASAC is over these past 20 years is in the leaders that we've developed. We've got WASAC alumni that are doctors, lawyers, teachers, police officers, in the trades, in any sort of field that you can imagine. There's a WASAC alumni that's probably in it.
Well, that's really cool to hear. And one of the things that WASAC does, especially recently, is there's a partnership between WASAC, the Winnipeg Jets now, with the, I don't know if you want to call it, I guess it's WASAC Night is the official title, and then Follow Your Dreams with the Moose, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's been going on for a few years now. How did that sort of start, and what led to that partnership?
Well, we've been working very closely in partnership with True North for over 20 years now. And that started off many years ago with the Little Moose program. The Little Moose program provided programming during the school day for kids to go skating. But really the main focus was on increased attendance, educational progress, and really a sense of community. So that Little Moose program started back then, and it's since grown into the Winnipeg Jets Hockey Academy. The Winnipeg Jets Hockey Academy does all of that stuff just on a larger scale. I think they're in close to 30 schools and reach 1,000 kids over the years, and we're very proud of our role in the Little Moose and graduating to where it is now. And we're also very proud that a WASAC alumni is the director of the Winnipeg Jets Hockey Academy.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. And so how important is that then for WASAC and I guess more importantly for the kids that are a part of WASAC Night? I mean, WASAC and the Jets, they bring in kids from, all these remote communities in northern Manitoba, and it's when you see the kids come down, I mean, they're all smiling and they're all just so happy to be a part of it. So how important is something like WASAC Night to the kids and as a whole?
Well, it's massive, and I mentioned that we've been partnering with True North for close to 20 years now, and it's kind of really culminated in the Winnipeg Jets WASAC Night and the Follow Your Dreams Day with the Moose. And as you just said, seeing the kids come down, the smiles on their face, taking pride in their culture, taking pride in their heritage, and getting to show that on a grand scale, and having it embraced by the public at large it's just really fascinating, and it's really a source of pride for the youth and for us and for True North.
Mm-hmm. And I see you're wearing the Jets WASAC logo, and I mean every year there's more WASAC stuff coming out. And I was at one of the Jets games recently, and then there was so many of those WASAC jerseys. Those are amazing. And I know you said you were in Mexico. We were talking off camera, and there's some down there. So the support has been really, really great from everybody in the community, like you said. But yeah, there's a lot of work done, like I said, with the youth up north. And what does it mean to them? Have you been able to speak with them and maybe some of the parents or the schools or anything like that? Like, what's it mean to them to come down here?
Yes, again, it's fantastic for the kids to get the opportunity to come down and be something, to be part of something as special as the WASAC Night and the Moose Follow Your Dreams events. And speaking with the teachers at the schools, they see just increased attention and attendance from the kids that know that they're going to be going down to the WASAC Night game. And when they're down here, we do a lot of fun things with them. We have team building events, getting them to know others from other communities. It's all really a celebration, and then we partner with True North to have events out at Camp Manitou. We've had John Shabbat, who did the telecast on APTN. He came out and spoke to the youth. So it's really, we just have a lot of positive events that happen throughout that whole week, and to see the smiles, like you say, on the kids' faces, that's the biggest part. Everything that we do at WASAC, I'm very proud of when we have an event. To see the smiles and the joy on the people's faces is really uplifting, and to have that on the biggest stage in our country, in Hockey Night in Canada, it really just raises it up a level.
Well, you had mentioned John Shabbat and our Hockey Night in Canada. That's also part of our InFocus today, and with that, I mean, a lot of with our Hockey Night in Canada, part of that is reconciliation, and specifically in this case through hockey, so with WASAC. But there's also more and more teams across the league and across different leagues are starting to embrace reconciliation night. I know in the WHL, the Ice had, and a few other teams had their orange jerseys through warm-up. The Flames did land acknowledgement, the Oilers do land acknowledgement, and they also had orange jerseys. For you, what's it mean to see all of these different teams starting to get together and do these reconciliation nights?
Well, I think it's fantastic. One, just for the population in general, it gets them asking questions and learning more about Indigenous culture and Indigenous history. But to think that we may have had a small role to play in that other teams are doing this, I think it just means that we're doing something right. This was our fifth Wassac Night, and every event just seems to get a little bit bigger and better. And that's really where the strength in the partnership lies. We've been working closely with True North for close to 20 years. But when we do something like the Wassac Night, it's countless hours of preparation. It's just not the one day. Countless hours of preparation between Wassac, the True North team. And what we're trying to do is that we make sure that we do this properly. And then, more importantly, that it's inclusive. Because this event, it's really all about inclusivity. Inclusive for the Indigenous families and youth that come to share their heritage and celebrate their culture. But it's also inclusive of the non-Indigenous families to see Indigenous culture on such a big scale. And they might not have been able to attend events before, but to have it on this scale with the Jets, it's just really fantastic.
Well, you led me right into my next question, and you touched on it a little bit, and that's, what do you guys hope comes from these WASAC nights? And like you said, they seem to just get bigger and bigger every year, and there's more and more happening every year, it seems like. So what do you hope for Indigenous and non-Indigenous, like as an overall goal? What do you hope happens from these nights?
Really, what we're seeing from it, and we're not trying to do too much. What we're really seeing is just a celebration of Indigenous youth and culture.
Simple.
Basically, that's our goal for this, and I think I'd like to think that we've succeeded in all of the 5 WASAC events that we've had. You look at one of the first things that we did was the logo. It was designed by a WASAC alumni, Letitia Spence, along with the help of the great team over at True North there. And this logo, like you say, it's everywhere out there right now. And you see it sported proudly at events in Winnipeg and all across the province, all across the country. But this is the brilliance of the partnership is the work that Letitia Spence did preparing this logo. It allowed her to get her start in the graphic arts industry as well. So that's another side shoot of something that wasn't necessarily intended, but it came about because of this partnership. And then you look at the work that we've done. I think it was, I believe, the third Wassac Night game is when we the land acknowledgement was already done, but we added the graphics and the music and all of that to it. And that's really been something that really catches the eye when you go to a Jets game. And like you say, other teams have kind of followed suit. And seeing minor hockey teams sporting orange jerseys and having their kids ask questions about that and wanting to learn more about that, I think that's one of the benefits of having these land acknowledgements at every game, and them being so so prevalent. Just having kids ask questions about this history is really important, and to think that we might have had a small role to play in that really brings us a great deal of sense of pride, and it just shows us that what we're doing with these nights is working.
So then going into the future, you mentioned there was just a fifth recently, so sort of what's the plan for the future, and then where do you sort of see this going?
Well, that's the thing about it. We do put a lot of preparation into this, and we want to make sure that no one is left behind. There's only so much time in a hockey game to do a lot of things, so we want to make sure that we represent all Indigenous cultures that we can. So this past WASAC Night game, we had the Dakota singer singing the national anthem in Dakota, and we've done that in the past in Cree and Anishinaabe. So by having more, it just allows us to focus on making sure that everyone is represented. Every year we look at some things that might be possible. This year we've added a food component where we had 2 jets go to the feast and learn to make bannock. Connor Hellebuck sported the Indigenous mask. So every year it seems to get bigger and better, and I don't know specifically anything that we've got on the plate for the next year, but I'm sure we'll come up with something, and I'm sure that it'll be celebrated and it'll be done in a good way.
And I can't let you go without asking you what's your favorite part of everything that happens on Wassac Night?
My favorite part is, like you said earlier, the smiles. Just the smiles. Just to see the Indigenous youth celebrate their culture, be proud of their heritage, and to see that embraced by the public as a whole. Just to see everyone, their smiles on their face. I was lucky enough to have guests in from out of province to see this, and they were just overwhelmed with how beautiful the ceremony was, how the colors, the land acknowledgements, the national anthem in Dakota. The fact that we got a win this time was great, because we were 0-4 in the ones before, so we were very grateful to get that monkey off our back for the Wassac Night games.
No, I certainly can imagine that. And Trevor, I mean, it's so great to have you in studio, and like you said, Wassac was kind of at the forefront really of all of this reconciliation and having these nights and doing stuff like that. So we really appreciate you coming in studio here. It's great to hear from you and hear what Wassac does, and it's certainly a strong partnership with these Wassac Nights, so certainly look forward to the next ones in the future. So we really appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much, Darrell. It's been a pleasure being part of the Winnipeg Jets Wassac Night and the Manitoba Moose Follow Your Dreams event. And like I said, we're just hoping for better things to come in the future.